Well, hey everybody, Jarmentlin here, and this is Which Was Worse, episode 10, where I give myself the monumentally difficult task of deciding which among these two shit angles was the worst, Claire Lynch in TNA or Katie Vick in WWE, because both of these were bad. Oh, sweet Jesus. Both of these were bad, and for so many reasons, so many bad, stupid fucking reasons. I know there are Impact fans that watch my channel. And I want to say right now that I was still watching Impact plenty and enjoying Impact quite a bit in 2012. But Claire Lynch represented one of the lowest points in that company's history. There is no defending it. There is none. I did hear, I think it was an AJ Styles interview a while ago, shoot interview, about his original idea for the Claire Lynch angle. And I think it was to have him have this smoking hot girl that he was sleeping with and this kind of stuff for some. I don't know. Look up the angle or look up the interview and you'll figure out what he exactly said. But his version still wasn't much better than that. It was better, but then again, I don't know who pitched this. I don't know if it was Dixie and AJ that came up with it. I don't know if Russo was working for the company. I don't know who actually came up with this idea. But whoever fucking came up with this idea never deserves to be in the wrestling business again. Like, seriously, this was freaking rotten. This was some of the worst TV that I have personally ever seen. Now, I'm going to set the scene here for a bit, and I'm going to go to Katie Vick, because these took place about almost 10 years apart. About almost 10 years. But let's look at the Claire Lynch angle first. Just a little bit of it. So you had this whole storyline going of where it seemed like Dixie and AJ might have been sleeping together and everything, and there was these allegations made by Kazarian and Christopher Daniels, who were the best fucking part of this thing. I mean, I love Kazarian and Christopher Daniels. Got to meet them and Scorpio Skies, SoCal Uncensored at a recent Defy Northwest show. I believe it was in January. Fucking tremendous guys, super nice. Still can really wrestle well in the ring. Daniels, I have no idea how he still moves as well as he does into his mid-40s. And Kazarian, moves well, and I believe he's 40, 41. Scorpio moving so well as well. The whole point is, love these guys. And really, I love AJ. Dixie, I really have very little respect for Dixie Carter, but it is what it is. But, Daniels and Kazarian were the best part of this, and they really tried everything they could to make this angle work. Even though they were heels, and even though you could tell they didn't want to fucking do it. I mean, I should have mentioned, I really appreciate how you guys tried to drag stuff out of that, but I didn't want to dredge up any bad memories. But again, all these allegations made of Dixie and AJ sleeping together and this kind of stuff. And there's this footage suddenly showing of them, in a hotel, going to a hotel. Ooh, scandalous. Why the fuck was this on a wrestling show? Focus on the goddamn wrestling. This is where I really started to have issues with a lot of what Impact was doing. WWE, that is, rather. I mean, even though it was we, in a sense, it was like, pretty much they were whizzing stuff down their leg like they did with Punk's title reign. But, the whole point of this is, with Claire Lynch, they did this thing where it's like, okay, yeah, AJ and Dixie, oh no, it was revealed in this horribly acted, horribly scripted, horribly done segment that this woman was brought to the ring and she cut this promo. I don't even remember it word for word because I blocked it out because so much of it was so bad. But if I remember right, she was like a drug addict and Styles and Dixie were trying to help her. And it was some of the worst TV I've ever seen. I remember at this point thinking, am I watching The Maury Show? Am I watching Jerry Springer? Am I watching some daytime soap opera without any of the cheesy music or any of this kind of stuff? All we needed was a John Marsha thing, like the old like stereotype of a soap opera of like AJ and her to start making out or something like that. It was freaking ridiculous. Except I just confused this with the Bailey Alexa, This Is Your Life segment. Dear God, let us never mention, okay, it hurts. Ow, it hurts. It hurts again. It hurts so much. Back to Claire Lynch. She cuts this promo and this horrible thing about this drug addict guy. I've been trying to get help. They've been trying to help me. They aren't having an affair. They aren't having this kind of stuff, and all of this. And then, as things go on, Claire Lynch gets this idea. Apparently, she's set up. Her, Daniels, and Kazarian are trying to set up AJ, and they drug AJ, or she drugs AJ, and takes pictures with him, and then claims to be kayfabe pregnant. Now, this all happens in a series of weeks, and it goes on forever. Like, it goes on for a couple months, if I recall correctly. 2.5 months. It was pretty fucking rotten, and it got even worse because then she was doing this whole thing where she had this, this doll, like this, this little Cabbage Patch doll thing that had an AJ, infant onesie thing, and she's like, this is, this is going to be your child, this kind of stuff, or why won't you say it just, this fucking rotten thing is like, I'm going to have your baby, AJ. This hurt. This hurt a lot to watch because this wasn't wrestling. This was fucking garbage. This was garbage no matter what company it was. But Impact, which was rolling along pretty well, all things considered, even with the Hogan involvement. And this is right, I think, around the time where Aces and Eights was starting to jump in. Yeah, bad timing. Aces and Eights wasn't all that great, but by God, it looked like fucking Shakespeare next to this shit. So they did this. And then we go, actually, you know what? We're just going to finish off the whole Claire Lynch thing right here, because then it's like, okay, she drugged AJ and this kind of stuff and took the pictures with them, even though nobody fucking believed it. It was this terrible tabloid shit. And then once AJ had taken a paternity test, AJ's like, fine, I'll take a paternity test, this kind of stuff or whatever. And then the girl suddenly decides, whoever the woman is, I don't even remember. And I swear to God, I should know who this is, because she looked familiar. In fact, I think she was actually involved in the Brian Bree segment. I think she was the physical therapist that was working with Daniel Bryan, and WWE tried to do the whole affair thing where Bryan was having an affair with the physical therapist, and yeah. Why? Why did they do this? That storyline went absolutely nowhere. But anyway, the girl did not want to go through all this. She wanted to go through it, so she copped out of the whole thing, so they finished it off by saying, AJ, you were not the father. Turning it into the Maury show. AJ never fucking recovered from that. It took AJ having a bit of a breakdown and becoming a Crow Sting-like character, or at least like a darker character, and going and attacking people at random and everything, and it took 8 months to fucking repair it. It was fucking stupid. Now, yes, that turned out okay, but the Claire Lynch angle was so fucking rotten, so fucking bad. If it had lasted 3 weeks and then been done, okay. Because that's essentially what the Katie Vick thing was. You had Kane, I think if I remember right, it was TLC 4. Not C4. Because this was an explosion of a different kind. But you had Hurricane taken out, and you had Kane win the tag titles in the TLC match by himself. So he's tag team champions. I believe he's Intercontinental champion also. And then Triple H shows up and says, it's like, well, you're great, but how is Katie Vick? She's dead, Kane. You're a murderer, or something like that. And I remember watching this. I don't remember who I was watching. Probably watching this with somebody who used to be my best friend and thankfully isn't. I don't know what the fuck happened to that guy, but that guy's a piece of shit. That's all I'm going to say. Ask me about it in Twitter DM. I'm not going to say on the video. But this was atrocious because they ended it like that, and then they come back the next week, and it turns out that Kane, who was supposed to have been scarred in a funeral home fire, or in Undertaker's parents' home, something like that, whatever it was, he was supposed to be scarred. But then it turned out that they were mental scars, and we would find that out later when he got unmasked. But Kane was horribly scarred, yet had this girlfriend named Katie Vick, and was at a college party, and he was drunk, and drove her home, and they crashed the car, or he crashed the car, and she died, and it haunted him, and he never mentioned this. And why the fuck is this happening with Kane's backstory? Well, what the fuck? What the fuck? This was never mentioned before. This was horrible TV. This was an example of Triple H coming up with something, or whoever came up with this. It was a bad idea. But then, it got worse. It got a lot worse. Because then, footage got leaked by Triple H of Kane. of what Kane would be up to, what Kane did to Katie Vick's corpse. It was Undertaker in very little clothing, thankfully enough to where they didn't get banned, in a Kane mask, simulating sex with a mannequin in a casket. Why is this on wrestling? What the fuck is this? And people wonder why I have issues with Triple H the wrestler. I know he's done some good shit since Booker T, not beating him at Mania 20 or Mania 19 after 23 seconds of being hit by the pedigree. 23 seconds later, Booker T gets covered and Triple H gets like a finger on him and does it because he has to bury people because he was a piece of shit for doing it. But anyway, that notwithstanding, he did put over some people and did do some stuff. And Triple H the wrestler, I don't necessarily agree with Bret Hart on everything. I think he's a little too harsh, but yeah, I have my own opinions on that. But the whole point is simulating sex with a corpse that is actually a mannequin. This was stupid. It was not needed. It wasn't wrestling. And then the whole thing is, okay, Kane is going after Triple H's world title. Unification match. Intercontinental title and world title. And Triple H wins. So Kane doesn't get any kind of payoff out of it. He does get in the Elimination Chamber match a little bit later, but gets eliminated. Triple H lasts to the final two, and then loses to Shawn Michaels. And then Kane's pretty much put in a tag team with RVD, and it doesn't really go anywhere. And I'm just going to say it. This is why I take issue with Triple H the wrestler. Yes, I know that a lot of that stuff happened outside the ring, but a lot of it was bullshit and wasn't necessary. It buried Kane. Kane didn't recover. He had to unmask and then go on a rampage for a number of months to even somewhat be taken seriously. Excuse me. But this Katie Vick angle wasn't funny. It wasn't wrestling. It wasn't entertainment. It just wasn't. It was... I'm all for being morbid. I'm all for making jokes. If you see my Twitter feed, I make a ton of shit. But both the Katie Vick and Claire Lynch angles, take a look at this face. This is the face I made before this face was even a goddamn thing. It was atrocious. Both angles were not necessary. They didn't help drive ratings. They didn't help pay-per-views. They sure as fuck didn't help anybody in the goddamn angles. Kane looked stupid. Triple H looked like a goddamn asshole and a goddamn creep. The Intercontinental title, which had been a staple in WWE for years, got unified. They had to bring it back 7 months later because people were like, hey, wait a second, we want the Intercontinental title back. It made Raw almost unbearable to watch because Triple H was either champion or competing for the title. It was stupid. And then the Claire Lynch angle to finish up on all this stuff. It's like it took momentum that Impact had, like TNA, Impact, whatever you want to call it. It took momentum that it had and threw it in the goddamn toilet. It didn't do any good for AJ. It didn't do any good for Dixie. Not that Dixie ever, did any good whenever she was on TV. Besides take that powerbomb from Bully Ray. I mean, it's amazing that she didn't somehow botch that. Daniels and Kazarian were the only ones that were like, hey, we're just going to have a whole bunch of fun with this. The woman who played Claire Lynch, look, I don't know if she's still acting or whatever. I don't know what she's doing. But I hope she's moved on to bigger and better things than this. Nobody looked good in either of these. It was fucking rotten. Again, look at this fucking face. That's the face I made pretty much during all these. It was absolutely goddamn atrocious. I was 21 when Katie Vick happened. I was 31 when Claire Lynch happened. I hated both of them, and both companies should have been ashamed. Everybody should have been ashamed who was involved. Two of the darkest periods and worst angles ever in wrestling. Absolutely horrible. But anyway, that's what I have to say. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I will see you soon.